The importance of your maternal grandmother in your life. There is a family figure who holds the deepest and most secret keys to our destiny, our maternal grandmother. Some may feel this doesn't apply to them because they didn't have a positive relationship with her or never knew her. They're mistaken. They're confused because they're thinking in personal terms and focusing on the person and the emotional bond with her. When the influence of the maternal grandmother belongs to another plane of existence, what really matters here are the experiences lived by the maternal grandmother. Her entire life, but especially at the moment when she conceived your mother. The 9 months of pregnancy and the 9 months prior to pregnancy leave an indelible mark on the following generations. It's something truly magical, which is rarely talked about and almost nothing is known about. What is known for sure is that when a woman carries a female fetus, she, in turn, already has inside her, specifically in her ovaries, all the oocytes she will have for the rest of her life. Oocytes are immature eggs that, when the woman becomes an adult, will turn into mature eggs and will be the source of life for the next generations. In other words, when a woman is pregnant with a female fetus, she carries within her both her daughter and her future grandchildren. It is clear then that all of us were once in our maternal grandmother's womb a very long time ago. Not only before we were born, but even before our mother was born. The three of us were there together, being one. And this is the biological beginning of a very important spiritual concept, the female lineage, the bond of blood and spirit that connects every human being with all the women in their family tree. Men also have a female lineage, of course. And we are connected to all that energy that nourishes our feminine side, of course. But with us, it comes to an end. Today you will realize the importance of healing this bond if you experience deficiencies. Specifically, in women, an interruption of that feminine energy leads to a disastrous relationship with their partner and with money. We will finish by doing a practical exercise to honor the figure of the maternal grandmother, so stay to watch it, because this is information that can change your life. Welcome everyone, dear friends, divine and conscious, once again to this channel where I share wonderful information. I have created all these videos for you with great pleasure. My name is Ley de Atracción y Abundancia. I define myself as a collaborator for the wealth and prosperity of the world. And today I bring you useful, interesting, and very moving information. Let's start from the beginning. The maternal grandmother leaves a very important mark on all of us, and especially on her first granddaughters, who are the main recipients of her energetic legacy. This mark is called the mnemic mark, and it literally means memory mark or mark in the memory. What is inherited is information, memories that are not on the intellectual level, but on the genetic one. It's called an imprint, because it marks us with the events that leave that mark. For example, the economic conditions in which the grandmother carried out the pregnancy of her daughter are very important, they are decisive. If the grandmother, while pregnant, faced economic difficulties, she leaves a strong imprint of fear of scarcity. Not in the daughter, this skips a generation, but in the granddaughter. Think about it. Can there be a more distressing and urgent situation than expecting a child and not having basic needs met? That's a dramatic experience. Emotions and moods also have an impact, for better or worse. How did your grandmother experience your mother's pregnancy? Do you know if she experienced it with excitement, with happiness, with fear? Was she married or single? Did she live in her own home or not have one? Did she live in her hometown or had she had to emigrate? One of the things that leaves the strongest mark is whether the pregnancy was planned or, on the contrary, was unwanted. Whether the grandmother had the support of the grandfather or not, whether she received family help or experienced rejection from her father, even from her own family, and even from the grandfather's family. The presence or absence of emotional support from men will influence how the granddaughter perceives men, either as help or as a threat. Realize that everything has an influence, including external factors such as wars, cultural changes, or historical events. That affects the way the granddaughter will later view motherhood if the grandmother carried the mother during a war, with a real danger of dying and being bombed. For example, the following generations develop a lot of stress related to pregnancy and want to have everything very controlled. Because they have become aware that this situation is one of great vulnerability, traumatic events leave a strong mark, of course, such as health problems associated with pregnancy, like miscarriages that might have happened. As you can imagine, what can affect the following generations the most is if the maternal grandmother dies during childbirth. That marks the family history for years. The death of a woman during childbirth is such a heartbreaking event that its echo reaches even further than the third generation. Since these events are forgotten, we will find people who are all mixed up because they want to have children. But at the same time, unconsciously, they are always sabotaging their chances of having them. How are they able to do this? Well, by being too selective with their partners, or by choosing partners who are not available or who don't reciprocate, or partners who are already married. Do you see what I was telling you? The relationship with the maternal lineage affects us on an unsuspected level. It is behind many problems whose origin seems like a mystery at first glance. Ideally, the grandmother would have been happy, healthy, and in love while pregnant. But if she didn't have those conditions, then even more so. We should be grateful that she was able to carry her pregnancy to term, thus paving the way for the next generations of the family. Thanks to that, here we are. On a spiritual level, the relationship with the maternal grandmother is often very intense. A typical case is the following. The grandmother comes from a wealthy family and marries someone from her own social class, influenced by her family. She doesn't have an unhappy marriage, but the reality is that she hasn't been free to experience other environments and to choose a husband for love or passion. It often happens that the daughter develops a conventional personality, even somewhat classist, but suddenly the granddaughter turns out to be rebellious. She's not interested in luxury, she wants to experience other environments, she wants to study and be free, and in the end, she wants to marry for love without considering social class. Not at all. How typical, right? So, the mother is against it, and suddenly, who is completely on the granddaughter's side and supports her unconditionally? Well, who else could it be, right? The maternal grandmother, of course. Do you understand the logic? What's interesting about the dynamic is that the granddaughter is the bearer of all the grandmother's unfulfilled dreams. And that's why their connection is magical, wonderful. They're natural accomplices. It's very touching. There's also often the case of a woman who goes through a lot of financial hardship and raises her children on her own with great difficulty. Her daughter learns you must fight in life, but isn't deeply traumatized by it. But the granddaughter turns out to be extremely cautious, careful, and seems to be very afraid of losing control over her finances. She doesn't allow herself any luxuries, any unnecessary expenses, and she has a great distrust towards men. In those cases, the mother encourages her daughter to live life, to enjoy herself, and to give love a chance. But the granddaughter and grandmother team up, and it's common for them to unite in criticizing the mother and men. They say things like, "You know how men are," or "they're not to be trusted." It's a shame because the granddaughter sincerely believes those are her own opinions, without realizing that she's making her life an echo of the past, a replica of her grandmother's life. If you're a woman, your maternal grandmother's life most affects your relationships with money and men. Let me remind you that her imprint will be in you, even if you never get to talk to her or never get to know her. She passes that information on to you. In the field of mitochondrial DNA, which is genetic information that comes only from the woman and does not mix with the father's DNA. If you're interested in the scientific side of the topic, I suggest you look up information about mitochondrial DNA, the genetic inheritance transmitted only through the maternal line. Now let's finish with the following visualization exercise. Visualize the women in your maternal lineage, realize that they have all been daughters and granddaughters, and then mothers and grandmothers. That's why you're here, because they succeeded in passing on life. You have to imagine all of them as victorious, strong, and very capable. You can picture them radiant, full of light. Take some time to imagine life through them. How does it pass? From generation to generation? Try to visualize the sacred bond they share. Be aware that all of this affects you directly. They are your story before you came into the world. They are the ones responsible for and protectors of life, of which you are just another expression. When you already feel full of emotions of gratitude and respect, you must do two things. The first is to express respect, and the second is to ask for protection. You say to them, "I thank each and every one of you. In my eyes, you are all equally worthy. Beautiful and not so beautiful. Good and not so good. Sweet and strict. Rich and poor. Wise and ignorant. For me, you are all equally worthy." You say to them, "I acknowledge that all of you succeeded. I acknowledge that I owe my life to all of you. I honor all of you, and I thank you." Then you ask for protection, and you say to them, "Mothers, Look upon me kindly. I ask you for strength and I ask you for help. And now you focus especially on your maternal grandmother. Your energetic connection is stronger with her than with the others. She is your bridge to the lineage. Recall that you were once inside your mother and grandmother, but not others. She is the key to your relationship with the lineage. You say to her, "Thank you for looking at me kindly, grandmother. I receive all your legacy with love." You work on your shortcomings and tell her you'd give her everything she lacked, but it's out of your control. I am much, much smaller than you. I honor your shortcomings, your difficulties, your suffering, and your sacrifices. But I leave them in the hallway, which is where they belong, and I feel free to be happy and to honor you with my fulfillment and my success. These are very moving affirmations if they resonate with your personal story. If you have wounds in your maternal lineage, this exercise will stir up many emotions for you. You'll see. Well, that's all for today. I've really enjoyed sharing this video with you, and with that, I say goodbye. It's been an important, beautiful, touching, and heartfelt topic. I hope you see that it contains practical and useful things to put into practice every day. As I always tell you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to comment and share. For example, I encourage you to write in the comments below. Today's empowering phrase is, "In accepting what is, we find the power to change what will be." It has been a pleasure to share this with you. A big hug and see you soon. Until next time.